I thought reform was supposed to be taking a different approach to politics, which was answering questions, and you specifically didn't answer my question. Would you back these cuts or not? Yes or no?
Why did you release the report ahead of when the KC expected the report to be released?
We didn't. We did not do that.
So she's lying.
As the opinion polls show a devastating halt to Reform UK's once unstoppable momentum after the decision to report Rupert Lowe to the police, Nigel Farage wants us to believe this is still a straightforward battle between his party and the Conservatives.
As you can see, the sun is going down in spectacular style on a Conservative-led Lincolnshire, and the new dawn is going to be reform. It's a bit corny, but it works.
But I would argue that while there is still widespread revulsion at the Tories' 14-year betrayal, there is now equal consternation about whether reform has betrayed us. You know, that lot, us lot. Or are we now the online right, whatever that means? That's not how we view ourselves, of course. We know that we're just ordinary folk who love this country. We are patriots who are well aware that dramatic action is required to save the Britain we love, and playing by the old rules, doing things like ruling out mass deportation simply isn't going to cut it. I have also picked up serious concerns from you about how a political novice in the form of businessman Zia Yusuf, a former Tory, has succeeded in tearing the heart out of the party given the defenestration of Rupert Lowe. Now, after disappearing from the MSM while the scandal grew over the past month, Yusuf has now returned to where he feels most comfortable, the legacy media. He doesn't like doing the independent media. I've asked him on. He's never turned up. And of course, entering that legacy media den means he was predictably monstered by Robert Peston during a mortifying on-air fight at Woke ITV.
All of these points are moot because all of these things have to be paid for. And we cannot pay for those things with energy prices where they are. There are no examples of economies in the world that are growing fast with energy prices where they are now. British people pay more for their electricity and their energy than any other country in the world, and that's why we have no growth.
I thought reform was supposed to be taking a different approach to politics, which was answering questions, and you specifically didn't answer my question. Would you back these cuts or not? Yes or no?
We need to reduce government spending, but the most important thing is
nobody knows is the answer. I think you've made your point about the bigger cuts and the bigger changes you want to see to growth. You didn't answer the question. I am delighted to be joined.
Of course, he was delighted to be joined by a Labour politician because that's the person who Woke ITV loves to platform. It's why you should come on Outspoken, Mr. Yusuf. Answer some real questions that your supporters want to know and actually deserve to know where you stand. And you know me, I'll do it very respectfully. I don't play gotcha games. But I'll tell you right now, I need to know why you reported Rupert Lowe to the police for hurty words during an argument. Is that really the sort of nonsense the overstretched and failing Met should be dealing with? Could you not have sorted it out like men? And why on earth did you release early this KC report into Lowe's office while doxing his members of staff, one of whom I can reveal is pregnant and has now had to go off work altogether? Really dealing with mental health issues as a result of this. Now, Lowe put it this way today, writing 3 of the 4 staff publicly shamed by reform with zero evidence were not contacted. They were not even given the chance to respond to these vile allegations. It is not proper process. Parliamentary authorities and separate legal teams are now involved. Evil behaviour. Basil the Great, who's one of those great accounts on X, updated the situation by writing 4 of Rupert Lowe's staff have referred Nigel Farage and Lee Anderson to Parliament's Independent Complaints and Grievance Scheme. This follows the early release for KC report, which publicly named individuals and allegations against them. Reform are a complete mess. Now, at least Julia Hartley Brewer on Talk did try to get an answer on that from Zia Yusuf in the past hours.
Why did you publish the report ahead of when the KC had agreed it would be published?
So, Julia, the report that
or is
came
she
out,
lying?
we published the report in the interests of full transparency. People can go read it, and the conclusions are as you just described.
the party's acted entirely properly throughout this process. It's obviously not been pleasant at all. It's not something that Lee Anderson nor I enjoyed at all. It's been an unpleasant episode. As far as we're concerned now, this is the KC investigation has been completed, and people can go and read the report for themselves.
But why did you release the report ahead of when the KC expected the report to be released?
We didn't. We did not do that.
So she's lying.
Now, I know for a fact, and just take my words for this, I know for a fact that the KC is horrified and mortified by the release of the report. But Yusuf still wouldn't give Julia a straight answer.
She thought it was released before it was supposed to be released. Why would you do that?
What I will say is this. The report has been published. It is clear for everybody to see.
So you're not denying that, then?
I am absolutely denying.
So she knew it was going to be released then.
That we've acted in any way improperly in terms of when we published the report. But
no, but she says that the claim is that she had given Rupert Lowe and his legal team until Wednesday to respond, and then the report was published on the Tuesday, so he didn't have time to respond.
Julia, number one, Mr. Lowe himself declared on social media last week that he would not be cooperating with the investigation.
Why not wait the extra day?
Secondly, and this is the last comment I'll make on this because the report is there for everybody to read. The second point is that he had a solicitor engaging with the independent KC, and that solicitor also confirmed that Mr. Lowe would not be responding prior to that deadline. So I absolutely deny that the party's acted in any way improperly or jumped the gun. We've acted entirely properly throughout this process.
So once that issue was covered, Julia, who, just got to be honest with you, she is a big Nigel Farage supporter. She seems to think that Rupert Lowe belongs to the so-called online right, returned to give Zia Yusuf a relatively easy ride.
Are you glad to be rid of him?
Look, it's been a really unpleasant experience, Julie. It's not something that anyone in any political party, I think, wants to go through. But we're now focused on the future. We've got over 1,600 brilliant candidates who are going to be standing for council for reform ahead of the May the 1st elections. And we've got Sarah Pochin, who has been a magistrate for 2 decades, who will be running to become the next member of parliament for Runcorn and Health.
Other candidates obviously will be... Other candidates...
She even gave Yusuf the chance to cry racism over the criticism of his decision to try and get his best performing MP locked up.
Out your race and your religion as being an issue. What did you make of those? I can't believe you haven't seen those huge numbers of messages concerning those factors about you.
Yeah, look, if you go into politics on the front line, Julia, you know what you're getting yourself into. It is a rough old game and you've got to have a thick skin. We're more determined than ever to ensure that Reform wins the next general election. We've made huge progress since the general government, 14% in the polls, 26% in the average. We've added 160,000 new members, and that's continuing to rise. You can see that on our ticker online in the last 8 months. So that's what we're focused on. And listen, of course, you see all sorts of things, crazy things going on Twitter. We're not letting any of that stuff distract us.
But this mess, and it is a mess, is distracting. Let's just be honest about it. It is distracting from the true horror being inflicted on the United Kingdom, illustrated by this video. I played it to you yesterday. I want you to look at it again, though, because it is just so shocking, of Paddington in London. Now, this was posted by Turning Point UK, and I just can't get it out of my head. That is literally just around the corner from the GB News studio. Sadly, it does now seem that it is often the MSM overseas doing the job of our cucked and controlled legacy media. I want you to watch this shocking but very revealing interview between Peter Credlin of Sky News Australia and the Emirati national Obaid Ahmed Al-Zabi and the British Bahraini social media influencer and political analyst Amjad Tahar.
I've listened to some of the comments you've made. Why is it that you believe there are more radical Islamists in a place like Britain than there is in your own country?
The question is, why is it that when a Muslim lives in Dubai, he's more liberal, but when a Muslim lives in London, is more extremist? Why is it that you have the fact that if an Orthodox Jew after the 7th of October still wanted to walk in the street of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, anywhere in the UAE after the 7th of October, he actually identified himself as a Jew and wears his kippah or Orthodox identity. Yet he cannot do that in various areas in Birmingham, for example, in Small Heath, in Sparkbrook, in various areas in UK. This should be questioned. It's not a matter of freedom of speech. It's the fact that people in Britain have reached a moment where they cannot express their perspective, their opinion at any stage, at any point, in the name of the fact that they censor them under the umbrella of Islamophobia.
How can they so clearly see a problem that our politicians completely ignore?
When you speak to a British person at this stage, at this point, they always look at yesterday and they don't tell you about tomorrow. They're scared of tomorrow. When they want to look into the light, they look at yesterday, not today. And this is a Britain where Britain message was always tomorrow.
Yes.
The time for talk is over. We have to start getting excited about tomorrow, but we need some action men to do it. One of them is the UKIP leader, Nick Tenconi, who's here now. But first, you know I never recommend anything unless I truly believe in it, and today I've got something absolutely game-changing for you. Have you ever stopped to think about how crucial comfort is, especially down there? Well, let me tell you, today's Outspoken is proudly sponsored by Sheath Underwear, the revolutionary brand shaking up men's comfort across the globe. And here's what makes it even better. Sheath was founded by an amazing US Army veteran, Robert Peston, while he was serving in Iraq back in 2007. So that's right, this isn't just any underwear brand. It was designed for the toughest conditions imaginable. Peston was battling relentless heat and discomfort in full combat gear, and he thought there has to be a better way. So he created it. And let's be honest, traditional underwear just doesn't cut it anymore. Sheath's innovative dual pouch design ensures your comfort all day long, keeping things separate, cool, and fresh. Just imagine your essentials being comfortably cradled away from unwanted friction and heat. Trust me, it is genuinely transformative. I've personally tested these at the gym, on long days at work, even just relaxing at home, and I'm telling you, once you've experienced Sheath, there is simply no turning back. They're stylish, they're supportive, and they deliver unmatched comfort. It's like upgrading from economy to first class, but for your underwear. And right now I'm offering you an exclusive 20% discount at sheath.com. Yes, that's 20% off your entire order when you use my special promo code Outspoken at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Sheath, by the way, is the perfect present for your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your brother, your hard-to-buy-for best mate. And ladies, good news, there are female versions too. I also want to tell you that Sheath, because this is really cool, Sheath is the first official underwear of the UFC. I thought you would like to know that. So click on the link below, enter Outspoken at checkout, sheath.com, and then you can thank me later when you're feeling comfortable, confident, and ready to tackle anything the day throws at you. Sheath underwear, redefining comfort one pair at a time. But now, back to the show. Nick, great to have you back on Outspoken. Does this civil war within Reform UK give UKIP an opportunity, or is this just a completely unnecessary splintering of the right?
So thanks as always for having me on, Dan. God bless you. Great to be here. The Reform debacle, or the 100th nail in the coffin, is hugely beneficial to UKIP with regards to people seeing the purple light and coming home to a nationalist, patriotic, Christian nationalist, socially conservative, whatever you want to call it, common sense party. There's a flip side, however, to that coin. There is an operation underway at the moment by our government, by the Uniparty, by our institutions, by the deep state, and by controlled opposition and Home Office plants and MI5 assets to demoralize and to denigrate and to demotivate the entire patriotic right. So every single time Reform behaves like this, yes, great news for UKIP, of course, but I don't want the British public any more heartbroken than they've already been by the Uni Party, by various traitors in the Conservative Party, by the Conservative Party in general, and by the various atrocities, terror attacks, massacres. It affects us all. It doesn't just affect the families, it affects us all, because eventually it's your child or it's your friend or it's someone that you know, for example. So we have had our hearts broken. And I want to say to your viewers, my perspective is that when you have your heart broken, typically that is a pathway to having your heart hardened. And this is incredibly dangerous territory. We don't want hearts hardened. We want happy, lifted, positive, energetic hearts saying, we understand the only way out of this mess is to back a political party and in a first past the post system to return a majority in government. That way you get your country back. We want people feeling happy and positive amongst the chaos and the madness and the horror. We want people feeling inspired, motivated, understanding that love is duty and duty is love. And collectively, we're taking our country back. So when Reform behaves like this, there's two sides to the coin.
Nick, I'm just looking over your shoulder and you have a poster there that reads detentions, deportations, and then there's that critical word that Farage and Zia Yusuf have moved away from, remigration. Now, this is the key issue, isn't it? This is the key split, because Rupert Lowe would be with you on that, but Reform UK say you've gone way too far. Like, they say you're insane for suggesting that you want to boot David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, out of the country, for example. So can you just clarify, Nick, exactly what you mean when you say remigration from a UKIP policy point of view?
Yeah, certainly. So this is, as ever, Dan, you've asked the right question, and God bless all the podcasters and commentators who are asking the right question. To answer it, you have to work backwards. So that means starting with remigration and then talking about, for example, foreign nationals in our jails, those who are claiming welfare, who are on visas, those who are here illegally, who are stored in our hotels and in wider society that are being harbored by the Pakistani and Bangladeshi community. We'll come on to that. So remigration is the opposite of immigration. So we're challenging the entire narrative around the utility, purpose, and efficacy of the idea of immigration, i.e. it's fantastic to go and visit other cultures. It's fantastic to go on this thing called a holiday where you go and see all that, spend your money, boost the economy, then you come home. There's nothing wrong with that premise. So no one voted for mass uncontrolled immigration. So the whole narrative around immigration is being challenged. That's the predicate for talking about remigration. So the question becomes, well, what does it mean? It means we're sending those people home who do not deserve to be in Britain. So who? Those who can't speak English, those who are here to subvert British culture and Christianity, those who are here as part of a organized Islamic Caliphate, Saudi-backed operation, those who are here to join prescribed or support prescribed terrorist organization, those who are here to form sectarian cliques, cults, gangs, whatever you want to call it, etc. Those who are here to spread the caliphate. So the question becomes, most common sense people would say, well, that makes sense, but that's just deportations then. No, these people were born here. They have British citizenship. So you go into citizenship deprivation,
Yes,
where you
because David Lammy, of course, born in Tottenham, I think.
Yeah, so this is absolutely fundamental. So I'll talk about, I'm working backwards. I'll talk about mass deportations. So your liberals won't go anywhere near mass deportations. And then you've got your extreme right, awful, vile sector that they are, which say anyone who's not white needs to go. And then you've got the common sense patriotic right, which says, as I've just listed, if you are part of those unintegrated migrant communities who are here to spread the caliphate, just one example out of many, you're going home. Does it matter that you've got a British passport? No, you'll be stripped of your citizenship. And a classic example of this is Shamina Begum. Now, moving from that to mass deportations, this is much easier to explain. If you are here illegally, so the 100K in our hotels, they're already detained, they would be removed and put to the nearest port or airport where they're sending home. Those who are here on visas, so at the moment we've got about 1.6 million here on a visa claiming welfare, costing 21 billion a year. It is utter nonsense. We know where they are because they're on welfare. So the Home Office knows where they are, Job Seek, Job Centre, etc. We know where they are. Then there's the 1.2 million forecasted illegals in the country. More problematic, but they're propping up the Deliveroo economy. So we know they're in the car washes. We know they're delivering food. We know they're on the e-bikes. We know they're loitering around. They're in tent cities like in Paddington and all the other ones that are popping up across the UK. We know they're in the nail salons. We know where these people are. And they're also being harboured, this 1.2 million suspected illegals. We're talking about legals, illegal. We know they're being harboured by the Pakistani, Bangladeshi and other such Middle Eastern and Asian communities. Where does everyone think that these people are? They're being harbored. Now, I personally know that, but lots of other people know that as well. So from remigration, which is a very sensitive subject that alerts some people and causes a bit of anxiety, which is perfectly normal, once you talk through the process, that those who are here to rape, butcher, murder, those who are here to subvert our culture, regardless of their citizenship, they're going home. And then in the middle, if you like, the deportations angle, that's to do with those who are here, who are net receivers, not net contributors, who aren't British citizens. They're on visas. And then, of course, you've got your illegals, which is a very basic premise to understand, and no one would disagree with you. We know where they are. They're illegal. They're criminals. They're going home.
What do you think, Nick, in terms of Rupert Lowe? For example, would you be prepared to give up the leadership or share the leadership of UKIP if he was prepared to be a UKIP MP in Parliament, for example? I'm just thinking that would be such a massive boost for UKIP, wouldn't it?
So I think the question most commonly put with regards to both Rupert and Ben Habib is, would I step aside for them to become leaders? So first and foremost, UKIP has been through an absolutely tumultuous time with regards to leadership races. I wouldn't put the members through that. It also costs a lot of money as well. We are stable. We are moving in the right direction. Policies, missions, manifesto, our online graphics campaign, our street level activism, our candidate list is growing by the day. Our membership is shooting through the roof. Rupert has also proved to what the utility is of activism in politics, with his freedom of information requests and calling out various, his tweets are quite good. He's obviously got a certain style there, but he's also done it. I think it's 1,000 questions. There was a tweet the other day that went up. He's making the most of his time in PMQs. I was the one who called it out when they returned 4 MPs. This is not a win. This is not a result for reform. Nigel's got 40 years of experience, endless media sensationalism, never gets banned off TikTok. That's a question mark.
Which has just happened to you, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know,
shameful.
Again,
shameful.
Nigel calls out the problem, but he doesn't say the solution. So again, is he a plant? Is he controlled opposition? How does he get away with all this? 1.2 million followers on TikTok, and he's completely untouchable. So Rupert, good guy. Everyone's seen the video. You were kind enough to put that in front of him. Have I heard back? No. And I just want to link that to your last point about stepping aside for the leadership. Logistically and practically, ethically and morally, that isn't the right thing to do. We'd also want these guys to carry on doing what they're doing. Running a party, as everyone knows who's in the know, is 24 hours a day. But here's the thing. In one breath, the rights say we need to unite and put our egos to one side. And in the next breath, there's obviously the suggestion about making Rupert leader. It's like, which one is it? We're doing great as we are. My hand's extended to all those good people and everyone who's got a big social media following, or who's in politics, or who has expressed interest in wanting to save their country, is going to be hearing from me as part of stage 2 at UKIP, whereby I reach out to them and say, if we're not taking our country back, guys, who's going to do it? Because we're going to stand 650.
And that includes Tommy Robinson and Katie Hopkins, right? I know you've said that here on Outspoken before, but I think it's worth asking you again.
Yeah, certainly. That's absolutely right. So we're finishing up stage 1 at UKIP as I go into my month 9-ish. Stage 2 is going to begin, which is all to do with training and developing our activists and our candidates, etc. I mean, very exciting time that I hope to be speaking more about with you and other good people on various shows. But a huge part of that stage 2 is pitching my target list, of which there's a few hundred names on there.
Do you think you've
I
been
already
blacklisted?
know that some will say no.
Do you think you've been blacklisted by the mainstream media, Nick? I mean, for example, I never see you on GB News or Talk. Have they asked you on?
No, they haven't asked me on. Have I been blacklisted? Probably, Dan. I think this is nothing new. You know, we're talking about Christian nationalism. They don't know how to deal with it. I think they fear me. I really do. I think they fear my ability to deconstruct their nonsense. If they don't play a straight bat, I think they fear my ability to deconstruct their nonsense and to alert the British public. And in alerting them to the facts and figures and the correct rhetoric, that therefore inspires and motivates them. Why would the mainstream media want to give me that power? They don't. That's why it's so important that the new media or the rise of independent media, which I include you in, the work you do is absolutely critical and is absolutely essential to our victory in 29.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, maybe that's not a surprise, but we have seen it happen in the USA and we are so far behind, but we do have 4 years in which we can catch up. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.